Colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the webinar on SDG3. And this is a webinar that is organized at a critical time when the General Assembly, the UN 75th anniversary, marked the theme that the world we want and the United Nations we need. Alongside this General Assembly, we're organizing this webinar together with UNICEF, UNFPA, WHO PAHO. This is also following a launch of good practices of South-South cooperation for the SDGs during the celebration of the UN Day for South-South cooperation. So we think it would be great to present several of the cases that were included in the good practices today, and to share the knowledge of different countries and institutional partners' achievement towards SDG3 through solidarity, through South-South and triangular cooperation. So before we go to the formal procedures of panel discussion, we're very honored to have the opening remarks to be delivered by Mr. Adel Abdellatif, Director of UNOSSC. So, Mr. Abdellatif, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Grace, and good morning, good afternoon. I think we have the moderator with us, Guillermo. So hand over to him and welcome, Guillermo. Glad to see you and to meet you for the first time virtually. So we hand over to you. I am supposed to give opening remarks, Guillermo, but for the sake of time, I think Grace has done a very good job, in making introductory remarks. So we can jump directly to the colleagues. And I'm really very honored, just to say, because I just started last week. I cannot say I am an expert on public health, but I was very much interested in public health before, as I was producing the Arab Human Development Report. And as you know, the Human Development Index, health is part of it. So one of them, just to give you a few remarks from my side, one of the most important things when we started, of course, the pandemic are the developing countries well prepared to address this? And of course, we had to look at the public health in countries in the Middle East and North Africa, and other things, what we can learn from other countries in the South, because, the many actually experts in this region, from the Middle East and North Africa, they were not very much convinced, that looking always at the North will be the best entry point, to address the challenges of these countries. Having said this, were actually, and that's why my interest here is to listen, how we can benefit from the South-South cooperation. And a final remark, I just read the briefing of the Director General of WHO on the 7th of September, and he actually was referring to many good practices actually from the South. Most of the good practices that he was referring to it, actually countries like Thailand we have today, Mongolia, and other countries, from Latin America and Asia. And that's why I'm really very encouraged to hear from you, from the experts, and learn how we can actually harness all these lessons from countries in the South. Over to you, Guillermo.
Thank you, Adele and Grace, for such a nice introduction. PAHO is extremely pleased to be part of this event and for our partnership with UNICEF and UNFPA, and under the leadership of the UN Office for South-South Cooperation. South-South and triangular cooperation is in PAHO DNA. When created in 1902, PAHO was mandated as it is in our organizational mission to lead strategic collaborative efforts among member states and other partners. PAHO was one of the first international agencies to embrace the Buenos Aires Plan of 1978. And by instituting the strategy of technical cooperation among countries, or TCCs as we call it, and allocated in a specific line of budget for it very early in the 1980s. Today, we will have the opportunity to hear about 5 good practices of South-South cooperation. All of them were recently published in the 3rd volume of the Good Practices in South-South and Triangular Cooperation for Sustainable Development. Each of the panelists will have 7 to 10 minutes. After all presentations have been made, we will have time for Q&As. We will end the session with closing remarks from Dr. Louis Pearson from UNICEF. But let me clarify that the session of question and answers, we're going to manage it in a different way. We're going to ask you to send your questions or comments to the chat, so the organizers can collate and consolidate the questions so the panelists can answer to them. I hope by the end of the event, we all have renew our commitment to South-South and Triangular Cooperation for the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals. In particular, SDG3, good health and well-being. And since time is against us and we want to make sure the technology is on our side, with no further ado, I'm honored to present our first panelist, Ms. Na Amy Wayne, from youth leader, the youth leader and founder of Faith, Hope, and Love Group of Ghana. Just to give you an idea of Ms. Wayne's background, she is a multi-skilled social activist in Ghana who has spent over 6 years working in the area of health advocacy, community development, youth, and women empowerment. She has done this through her involvement and partnerships with grassroots and international NGOs, UN agencies, and global youth networks, including the Breasted One Foundation, Action Aid, UNFPA, and AfriJan, the African Youth and Adolescent Network on Population and Development, respectively. Naomi is also an inaugural fellow of the UNFPA Youth Leaders Fellowship Program and has reached over 5,000 young beneficiaries through Faith, Hope, and Love, a social enterprise she founded to improve access to reproductive health information and services and capacity building for young people and marginalized communities. Ms. Wayne, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Guillermo, and thank you, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to speak on this panel. I'll go on and share my screen because I have a short presentation as part of my submission. Okay. Okay, sure. So just as Mr. Guillermo said, my name is Naomi Wayne, and I'm a youth leader and the founder of Faith, Hope, and Love Group, which is actually a member of AfriJan, the African Youth and Adolescents Network. I'll be speaking on the Youth4Youth Forum that was organized last year on the margins of the China-Africa Conference on Population and Development. We are talking about this in terms of creating an avenue for youth-led dialogue and creative solutions. Okay, so many of us may know that Africa has the youngest population in the world, with an estimated 226 million young people as of 2015, which is more than doubling by 2055. that looks at over 500 or close to 600 young people. And we also know that China is the largest developing country in the world. I believe that these highlights the need for us to harness the demographic dividend, and South-South cooperation plays a vital role in achieving this. Africa's youthful population can be viewed more as an advantage than a threat. I think it can only be viewed as a threat if a laid-back approach is used. It would actually risk us protracting gender issues, the unavailability of youth-friendly spaces, and even the inadequate knowledge on reproductive health issues, which results in poor reproductive health outcomes among young people. We can talk about teenage pregnancy, we can talk about obstetric fistula, among many others. For the Youth4Youth Forum, we know that through this, we created an avenue for youth-led dialogue and creative solutions. I believe young people are the forerunners of horizontal development, and we have a plethora of tools to facilitate sharing of knowledge and skills among ourselves, irrespective of the technological divide. This forum was organized on the margins of the China-Africa Conference on Population and Development, as I mentioned earlier on. The purpose was to encourage young people like ourselves to share knowledge and to promote networking between African and Chinese youth. It brought together many of us young people to lead our own dialogue, to foster relationships, and to build networks that will result in opportunities for growth and possible partnerships. The entire process of the forum consisted of 3 phases. We had the pre-forum activities, we had the main forum, and the post-forum follow-up. I'll talk about that later on, but then I want to say that this initiative is sustainable, and it is because it was organized on the margins of a main conference that has been running for 3 years. And we actually had to, we didn't have to look for extra funds per se, but to augment the initial funding. And the forum is documented both in video and written reports, so we can access it if it needs to be replicated in any part of the world. Concerning the pre-forum activities, we used innovative means to obtain input from young people across the globe. It was across the globe, both from Africa, China, and even other places. There was a call for video submissions, and then input from young people across Africa and China were put together so that it was made to ensure that for those who were unable to be there physically, their input would be well reflected. And this was what we put together in what we termed the SOYA, the State of the Youth Address. It was a video compilation of all the young people's inputs. And there were also different online events to create awareness, social media engagement, Twitter chats, among so many things. For the main forum, it was a one-day event that was open to any and everyone. And we ensured that a participatory approach was used. We made sure young people from rural and marginalized communities were present, both in and out of school young people were there, as well as young people living with disabilities. At this particular slide, you can see a young lady speaking into a microphone. She's by the name Princess, and she's a youth advocate who's visually impaired. She made a very good submissions on behalf of persons living with disabilities during the conference. There was also an exhibition where young entrepreneurs showcased their innovations in technology, health, arts and crafts, amongst many. We ensured that there was also mobile health booths. This was used to bridge the gap in access to youth-friendly spaces for access to reproductive health services during the forum. So we're actually giving health services during the forum. For the post-forum follow-up, we had youth consultations towards the Nairobi Summit. There was sustained interest of youth groups and partnerships with youth groups for continuous communication. As I go on, I'll speak more about the partnerships with the youth groups. There were major benefits of the Youth4Youth Forum, but I'd like to highlight these 5. The first being the fact that there was a connection across the global south by connecting young people both from Africa and China, physically and virtually. There was the facilitation of an intergenerational dialogue where we passed on institutional knowledge. I can say this because we had, from that particular slide, you can see a picture of a young lady and an older lady. The older lady is by the name of Madam Mariam Papa. She is now the Chief Director of the Ministry of Planning. And she was a youth delegate during the International Conference on Population and Development in 1994 in Cairo. So it was a really good time for her to share her experience and to pass on knowledge acquired. Concerning the exhibition, like I said, we showcase innovative approaches young people are using in addressing reproductive health challenges. There was the use of robotics. As you can see, there were some samples over there on that particular, in that particular picture, as well as young people who are developing rapid diagnostic tests for vaginal infections, to test vaginal infections, among many others. There were products from young entrepreneurs that were also exhibited for those who were interested to buy. We saw the ownership of the ICPD tenants such that young people were eager to get involved in achieving the ICPD goals. In Ghana, for example, many of our youth participants further joined us during the youth consultations to make major inputs that were further, that formed a part of Ghana's ICPD commitments that were presented at the summit in Nairobi last year, November. For the partnerships, we can say that many of the youth participants also joined us for a youth-led national march to observe the 16 days of activism against sexual and gender-based violence, and also to co-implement many other projects. For partnerships concerning the Youth4Youth Forum, the Youth4Youth Forum story can never be told without the integral role of UNFPA. UNFPA Ghana and UNFPA China offices facilitated the provision of financial and technical support for young people. We had over 300 young people participating from 75 different countries, including China. So this actually supported an active inter- and intra-continental knowledge sharing amongst us young people. And one thing I'd like to highlight is the Youth Leaders Fellowship Program of the UNFPA Ghana office. These young people were at the forefront of planning the forum with African and Chinese youth. It's actually the first and only of its kind in the UN system in Ghana. The Youth Leaders Fellowship Program, also known as Jolie Program, was launched in 2018 with the first cohort of 16 people. And I was privileged to be part and form the inaugural body, as well as the planning committee for the Youth4Youth Forum. So we had 16 bold and articulate young leaders leading the forum. I can say UNFPA walks the talk of ensuring that young people's potential are fulfilled. I strongly believe that if young people are to meaningfully contribute to horizontal development and promote South-South cooperation, there's the need for governments and organizations, including UN agencies, to shift from engaging young people as an act of tokenism to meaningfully engaging us to promote skills development that will help with significant knowledge sharing amongst ourselves. And I believe that is what UNFPA Ghana is spearheading.
Sorry,
With this particular quote,
you have to wrap up. You have one more
minute.
minute.
Okay, sure. Okay. So I'd like to say that concerning the Youth4Youth Forum, it actually sets up a framework for effective exchange of programs among developing countries, where we shared ideas amongst ourselves, we shared best practices, and we are expected as young people to initiate community and business partnerships that are ongoing and probably in the future, and projects on both individual and organizational levels to further promote the ideals of the South-South cooperation and for development. Working with African and as part of other youth networks, I can attest to the power of knowledge sharing and the importance of contextualizing approaches for project implementation, because we realize that one thing may work in one country, but you need to contextualize it when you're replicating it. And our role as young people, we need to build and strengthen our own capacities in whatever field we find ourselves to better participate in development. As millennials, we have tech and the digital space where we can freely engage. So that's why I'll say that we need to actually leverage on existing platforms such as the South-South Galaxy. Many of us may not know, but I'm sure Grace may talk about it. Yes, exactly. I call it the LinkedIn of the Global South because it provides us with opportunities for partnerships and even funding opportunities for us to move towards achieving the SDGs. Finally, I'd just like to say that the COVID-19 pandemic has crippled many healthcare systems and it's revealed to us how our public health systems are rather shaky. So as young people, can I dare us to actually make use of platforms to share knowledge, to build our capacities and to build lasting structures? Because structures are not just infrastructure. Structures are systems, and we as human beings create these systems. So when we build our capacities, then we can actually put forward and build lasting structures. So I like to say, let's take up the mantle, lead and make the difference. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Wayne, for sharing this very relevant experience and lessons learned, a lot of things to really learn from what you and UN, with the support the UNFPA have done. Our next speaker is Minister Maria Belén Bogado. She is an Argentine career diplomat. She currently serves as Director General of International Cooperation at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, International Trade and Worship of the Argentine technical cooperation in both bilateral and multilateral fields. She is also in charge of the chairmanship of the Intergovernmental South-South Cooperation, or PIFCCS for the Spanish acronym. Minister Bogado has served as Deputy Director of the National Directorate of Multilateral Economic Relations. She was responsible of a technical team implicated on multilateral economic negotiations with the framework of several UN agencies, including WTO, FAO, UNIDO, YIPO, and UNCTAD. I'm very pleased and honored to introduce Maria Belén Bogado, and she's gonna share the experience of strengthening antimicrobial resistance, detection, and surveillance in CARICOM. Ms. Bogado, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Guillermo. Thanks, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, I think, in Bangkok. It's my great pleasure to participate in this side event that is co-organized by our friends from UNICEF, UNFPA, PAHO, WHO, and the United Nations Office on South-South Cooperation. I would like to thank our colleagues from the United Nations system for letting me share with you today and to share the panel with all these speakers on our triangular project called, as Guillermo said recently, Strengthening National and Regional Antimicrobial Resistant Detection and Surveillance in CARICOM states. It's a project carried out by the Argentine government together with the Pan American Health Organization and CARICOM. As you all know, triangular and South-South cooperation is a key part of Argentina's foreign policy. Through these modalities of cooperation, our country has built alliances for over 3 decades with other states, with multilateral institutions and civil society organizations, with the purpose of complementing our partnered efforts and our efforts of our own towards sustainable development. In this sense, the Buenos Aires outcome document of the second high-level United Nations Conference on South-South Cooperation, BAPA +40, recognized the increasing role played by inclusive partnership in South-South and triangular cooperation, acting as an instrument which help improve the impact and actions in the field, acknowledge that governments have the principal role of coordinating and leading development efforts. In this context, Argentina, PAHO, and CARICOM signed a commitment to implement this triangular cooperation project in the Caribbean for the biennium 2019-2021, aiming to provide tools and capabilities to CARICOM member states for the detection and integrating surveillance of AMR, antimicrobial resistance, both in human and animal health. As you all may know, antimicrobial agents play a critical role in reducing morbidity and mortality due to communicable diseases. Furthermore, AMR is recognized not only as a major public health problem, but also as a development issue because of its huge economic impact. Today, I would like to present to you where we stand now regarding this important and, I may say, successful project, which has seen increased in its importance in this terrible context we are living of the COVID-19 pandemic, taking into consideration that not only AMR represents an important threat to public health, but also that COVID may actually increase the risk of AMR. Before starting this presentation, on behalf of my Foreign Affairs Ministry as responsible of international cooperation area, I would like to extend an enormous gratitude to all those involved in this project. To PAHO, firstly, with its regional office and the national office in our country, in Argentina, to all CARICOM states, the 14 CARICOM states that participate in the project, and to our colleagues working in the Argentine embassies based in the Caribbean, as well as to the Ministry of Health of Argentina, the Malvern Institute, and SENASA, our National Plant and Animal Health Service. It's my great pleasure to present this project on behalf of all of you today. As you all know, in February 2018, the World Health Organization declared antibiotic resistance is now the greatest threat to global health, food security, and development. This was before COVID-19. Antibiotic resistance can affect anyone, wherever their age or the country in which they live. Antibiotic resistance is a natural phenomenon, although misuse of these drugs in human and animal is accelerating the process. There are an increasing number of infections, for example, pneumonia, tuberculosis, and others that are more difficult to treat due to this loss of efficacy of antibiotics. And antibiotic resistance prolong what is very important today, hospital stays, increases medical costs, and increases mortality. In that context, Argentina, the Pan American Health Organization, and CARICOM states signed a commitment to implement this triangular cooperation project. This program is aimed to strengthening the diagnostic and surveillance capacity on of human pathogens in AMR and monitoring the quality of clinical laboratories in the region. This project focuses on strengthening AMR detection and integrating surveillance in the 14 independent CARICOM member states: Antigua y Barbuda, Bahamas, Barbados, Belize, Dominica, Grenada, Guyana, Haiti, Jamaica, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, St. Lucia, Suriname, and Trinidad and Tobago. The 14 countries are going to establish national quality control programs on AMR. And this is going to generate a Caribbean database that will collect and systematize essential data crucially needed among health professionals regarding antimicrobial prescription. This information will be also used in decision-making on monitoring resistant trends within the veterinary and the agriculture sector. After half of the project developed now, and prior to the disruption of activities due to COVID-19 pandemic, it is possible to appreciate the following impacts and goals achieved. 8 human health laboratories, 1 CARFA laboratory and 2 food laboratories and 3 veterinary laboratories in CARICOM member states were assessed for capacity to detect AMR. 2 professionals from the May Reference Laboratory of Barbados received 1 month training at Malvern Institute here in Buenos Aires. 8 professionals from veterinary services in CARICOM member states were trained in Argentina Veterinary Service, SENASA. More than 300 professionals from 7 Caribbean countries were trained in sample taking and received the training material, including nurses, physicians, and laboratory experts. 9 Caribbean countries received supplies, reagents, and a quick guide to detect resistant mechanism of clinical impact. And 9 laboratories in CARICOM member state are participating in an external quality assessment program. These programs, this project represents the first initiative in such a scale in the region. These proposals is aligned with the Argentines' commitment to comply with the implementation of the WHO Global Action Plan for AMR. This subject matter was also developed during Argentina's G20 presidency in 2018. And this project that Argentina carried out together with PAHO is in line with the provision of the Global Action Plan against antimicrobial AMR approved by WHO in 2015. In this sense, the expertise in science and technology of Argentine technical counterparts, Instituto Malbrán, SENASA, place our country as a concrete stakeholder through South-South cooperation in the global effort undertaken by all agencies on the United Nations system. The Instituto Malbrán has coordinated the external performance assessment program for the network of countries of the Americas for more than 20 years. Its contribution, among other institutions from Argentina, makes our country one of the largest cooperation providers in health issues through Latin America and the Caribbean. Moreover, according to recent data from the Ibero-American General Secretariat, the SEGIB, Argentina, together with Brazil and Cuba, cover 75% of the total South-South cooperation in health projects at the regional level. This is a key issue for all us now. The current circumstances of the pandemic have increased the significance of these actions and this project. The training received by AMR references laboratories in the Caribbean will certainly improve their ability to deal with this terrible emergency. The results over the past years and the activities planned for the coming year are a strong will of the commitment and the partnership around this project, which, as you have seen, is quite complex in its implementation. However, despite its complexity, it has shown to be remarkably successful. We maintain the commitment of moving forward for the next year, maintaining this momentum we have reached. We had a very good feedback from the Caribbean labs and specialists, all the participants in the project who were able to travel to Argentina. That was a useful experience, which also has been reflected on their work facing now the COVID-19 emergency. In these countries, it was not obviously an intended outcome at the beginning of this project, but it's an outstanding and unexpected benefit that came out of it, and it's proved the value of South-South cooperation. In this framework of the South-South collaboration, I would like to emphasize the importance to keep this project going forward. It depends on all of us that we are involved, and we completed all the intended activities in 2019. And we are now discussing how to keep going, how to make the best of the situation in 2020, and we look forward to 2021. We all need to be creative in this crucial context for humanity. All development strategies must now respond to these challenges imposed by the pandemic and the crisis, with add to the already existing one, climate change, the emergency of new technologies, and the stress of multilateral system in all aspects. As stated at the beginning of our presentation, overcoming these challenges was at the core of the outcome of BAPA +40. Southern countries have addressed some of these challenges by implementing a set of successful...
Minister Bogado,
yes.
if you can wrap up, please.
Yeah, thank you, Guillermo. I'm finishing now. Our countries implementing a set of successful public policies at the national level, but also by sharing this experience and abilities acquired in the process of South-South and triangular cooperation. However, developing countries, even though regarded as middle income as ours, still face significant economic, social, and environmental shortcomings. And as far as South-South cooperation and triangular cooperation is concerned, knowledge gaps and institutional and financial hurdles still exist. Overcoming these challenges is at the core of our country's triangular cooperation projects, such as the one that I presented today. Finally, I can gladly announce that together with PAHO, CARICOM, and the Argentine counterparts, we have already agreed to extend the AMR project into a third year in order to complete the missions planned for 2020 in 2021. We hope that the next year we can achieve the full project objectives due to a great teamwork. It is remarkable what this project has been able to achieve despite its complexity, as I said before. Together we did it, so hat-offs for all of those involved, and let's keep it going forward. This project tends to demonstrate how South-South cooperation and triangular cooperation support countries to overcome shared challenges and accelerate progress towards sustainable development. We shall continue on this path to fulfill our commitment on the 2030 agenda. We are starting the action decade. Let's move forward. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much, Minister Bogado, for this also very good experience between Argentina and the English Caribbean countries. A lot of, again, a lot of things to capture, many lessons learned. I hope all of our participants are following the conversation and posting their questions for the end of the presentations. Our next panelist is Ms. Chirithont Wairatpanich. I hope I got it right. My apologies for the pronunciation. Ms. Wairatpanich is a career diplomat who currently serves as Minister Counselor at the Partnership for Development Bureau and the Thailand International Cooperation Agency, or THICA, Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Kingdom of Thailand. She oversees development cooperation and partnership with development partners and international organizations, including those in the United Nations family. During her tenure at THICA, she was seconded to the United Nations Office for South-South Cooperation, so she's part of the family, the Asia Pacific Regional Office in Bangkok, and advocacy advisor from May 2017 to May 2018. Prior to joining THICA in February 2017, she served 2 tours of duty at the Permanent Mission of Thailand to the United Nations in New York between 2008 and 2012 as First Secretary, and between 2014 and 2016 as Counselor. Ms. Wairatpanich would share 2 experiences related to HIV elimination, HIV and syphilis elimination, and the calculation of the social return of investment in the Thailand-Lao PDR partnership on Y4Y. Please, Ms. Wairatpanich, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mendoza. And on behalf of Thailand International Cooperation Agencies, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Thailand, we thank the organizers for allowing us the opportunity to speak today. So South-South and Triangular Cooperation has been at the cornerstones of Thailand's development cooperations policy, and it's served our intention to strengthen our capacity as a knowledge hub in the areas where it has expertise, which of course including the medical and public health sectors. And as the directors of UNOS has mentioned at the opening recently, that to put it in perspective, the WHO has recognized Thailand as one of the countries which has provided the most effective response to the COVID-19. So that is where the expertise are. So the two cases that I have the honors or a challenge to present today in the next 10 minutes, this represents a very fundamental principles of South-South cooperations where solidarities and ownerships and demand-driven elements are met with a good management of expertise of South-South cooperation providers. And I have to thank UNICEF and UNFPA for allowing us to be able to drive the international community towards the achievement of SDG3. So the first good practice on towards the eliminations of mother-to-child transmissions of HIVs and syphilis, or call it in short EMTCT, is the case that we do with UNICEF for other countries. So Thailand has been successful in validations of EMTCT on HIV and the syphilis, being the second country in the world with that validation, second to Cuba, of course, in 2016. So with that, coupled with the universal health coverage and the qualities maternal child health services in place, we have been ready and be able to share our good practice and lesson learned through South-South cooperations. And we have done just that after the validations in 2016, teaming up with UNICEF's country office in Thailand and also the regional office of Asia Pacific, and with the Thai Ministry of Public Health and other partners to facilitate several capacity developments, experiences, sharings, initiatives to promote EMTCT in our partners' country. But the exciting part is in 2019, where we formalized our cooperations together with UNICEF and through TICA as a development cooperations agency of the Thai government, into a formal partnerships with the aim to leverage the power of South-South cooperations to make it a more systematic manner in which we share our experience. So there's two aims of these activities, inside and outside, meaning that we integrate the EMTCT into Thailand South-South cooperations agenda, and also facilitating the partners countries access to Thailand's experience and knowledge and expertise. So recently, I'm going to share the screens now to show you some of the photos of the workshop that we've done together with UNICEF last year in 2019, after we formalized our South-South cooperations on EMTCTs. The workshop was done with a few visits, for the countries from Central Asia and also one from China. So the workshop was done, delicately in a way that we are able to collect feedbacks in a short and long-term manner for us to be able to reinforce, local capacity and ensure effectiveness of our delivery in the long run. So moving on to the next steps, thanks to UNICEF with that tremendous support, we are able to conduct a global needs assessment using the network of UNICEF's country office around the world in different regions. And the survey's results of the needs assessment has been analyzed against valid indicators to assess the levels of interest of our partners' countries in this particular subject matters. With that, the result of survey, it's contributed to our planning process for the next few years. So with the current joint work plan that we've worked with UNICEF, in the next few years, we will work on the sharings of our capacity developments and experiences with Laos, PDR, Vietnam, and a few countries in the Latin American and the Caribbean, as a priorities to deliver our capacity buildings and technical support in the next few years. So, and one of the workshops is actually taking place on the 16th of August online with Laos PDR. So in summaries with this case with UNICEF, we hope that this eliminations of mother-to-child transmissions of HIV and syphilis, South-South cooperation solutions could be adapted to support other countries' efforts to achieve EMTCT validations and strengthening their health system and social protection programs in the long run. And we thank UNICEF for that. So now moving on to the second good practices that I have in my hands now is with UNFPA on calculating the social return of investments, or SROI, I'm going to call that in short, with Thailand's and Laos PDR partnership on midwifery. So the background is that if you see this slide, TIGA's long-standing partnership with the UNFPA on South-South cooperation has been on sharing and exchanging Thailand good practices on sexual and reproductive health since 1980s, particularly on the maternal health care and services. So of course, with Thailand being the country has reduced maternal mortality rate to 24.6 per 100,000 live births, which is almost 3 times lower than the SDG3 benchmark. So if you see in the middle of the slide, the initiatives also include our project with the government of Bhutan on their institutional capacity development in maternal health program, and also with the governments of Laos on national midwifery education program, which is the exact case that we chose to do the SROI analysis. So each year we see the numbers of the dollars spent. So each year we spend approximately $60,000 to $80,000 per year since 2012 on this South-South cooperation. So part of this long journey with UNFPA has been on how to evaluate the effectiveness of the projects in a way that the public is able to understand in terms of the numbers of why South-South cooperation is important and the sustainabilities of Thailand's knowledge sharing in respective countries. So we see this SROI assessments project as an important step for accountability as part of the government agency such as TIGA, and I'm sure likewise with the UN, with the bodies such as the United Nations. So SROI provide a comprehensive analysis as compared to the cost-benefit analysis to review the efficiencies and effectiveness of the project operations. It applies financial proxies to measure the socio-economic outcomes by investigating and calculating views of multiple stakeholders into a financial ratio that is easy to understand and convince how worth the project is. So the SROI ratio gives insight into the social value which is created for each dollars we spend, in our development cooperations project. So we choose the Laos projects, which was selected for this analysis. So our consultants that we hire utilize the SROI from the quantitative analysis of surveys and key informants interviews, focusing on the activity that took place between the 3 years of 2014 and 17 to improve Lao midwifery education in alignment with the WHO requirements. So the result of the studies, here it is you see on the screen, is pretty impressive, showing that investing in the South-South cooperation projects provides a high returns to the public with the ratios of 1 to 4. It means that every dollar spent yields a return of social investment equivalent to $4. So with this, it gives us as a partners to the South-South cooperations and outcomes and program that the 3 partners, Laos and UNFPA and Thailand, we can sit together and know where we go and the directions where we should be heading in the long term by continuing investing on midwifery educators or institutional capacity development. So in a way, it addressed the issues of relevancy and sustainability of our South-South cooperation project. So this analysis provides a very compelling stories of the impact of South-South cooperation on relevant stakeholders, including TIGA. In the case shows that the South-South cooperation model is very effective and at achieving and makes efficient use of Thailand's experience and expertise, and it helps improving our projects in the long run. So with this, to this end, we wish on behalf of TIGAs and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, we wish to commend UNFPA on their strategic manner in which they approach South-South cooperations throughout all levels of the organizations in ensuring program output and resource mobilizations where South-South cooperation is needed, and particularly on the technical support on this SROI analysis, which provide us with the evidence-based policy development to support South-South corporations. So I'm going to end with the next steps that we have with UNFPA. Our work plan in 2020 and 21 not only focuses on providing an online interactive platform. Of course, like everyone else, you know, during the COVID-19, everything needs to be turned online, but we turn that crisis into opportunities by providing a very effective learning online platform. But we will continue with the SROI's projects by, you know, providing internal capacity of our partners and see how we can use SROIs to provide the impact on South-South cooperation, perhaps not only with the UNFPA, maybe other projects on South-South cooperation with other partners as well. So I'm happy to answer any questions afterwards, but now I'm going to give the floor back to Dr. Mendoza. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Wayran Paniche, for this very nice presentation. Again, lessons learned from two different experiences, a lot of things to capture in regards to not only the role of the UN agencies can play in bringing together countries, but also how countries identify their strengths and their needs in the way to share the resources among them. Our next presenter, Dr. Juan Carlos de Jesus. He is the director of the Division of Maternal, Child, and Adolescents Health since 2017 within the Department of Family Health of the Ministry of Public Health in the Dominican Republic. He has also held various other positions in this ministry in the areas of collective health and health through the life course. He earned his degree as a Doctor of Medicine at the Autonomous University of Santo Domingo and has this specialty in pediatrics from the San Lorenzo de los Mina Maternity Hospital. He also has a master's degree in modern management in health at from the Catholic University of Santo Domingo. His academic career also includes studies in comprehensive sexual education, sexual and reproductive health, gender, early childhood, adolescent health, and primary health care. Dr. Juan Carlos de Jesus will share experience on the improvement of maternal and child health on the northern border of the Dominican Republic and Haiti. Dr. Juan Carlos de Jesus, please go ahead.
Thank you very much. On behalf of the Ministry of Health and my country, thank you for the invitation and for the opportunity to show you this good practice that we made. And that with Dr. Mendoza talk, we want to show you a little briefing of this project that we made in the on border of Haiti and Dominican Republic. This project was about the improvement of maternal and child health on the northern border of the Dominican Republic and Haiti. It was a collaboration between both countries, the Ministry of Haiti and the Ministry of Health of the Dominican Republic, also the IMS. And we have a big synergy, national and local. I will see what we learn about this good practice and all the things that we did in the terms of local actions in that region. Just a second.
It seems
yeah.
Dr. De Jesus is having problem with
Yeah.
the presentation. Can our colleagues
I'm gonna show it
in
like
New York
this.
help us in that?
Dr. Juan Carlos, I will share the screen from my side.
Yeah.
Thank you, Rafael.
No problem.
Thank you. So I was talking about the project that we made about improvement on maternal and child health of the northern border of the Dominican Republic and Haiti. The next one, I will talk briefly about the backgrounds and problems that we have in both regions, and that was the objective of this project. The next one. So in terms of maternal and child mortality, we have a maternal mortality rate average of 100 in the last 10 years. The main causes of that death was high blood pressure, sometimes 37 to 40% of the causes, sepsis and hemorrhage. In terms of child mortality rates, it has been an average of 20 in the last 10 years, but mostly neonatal. Some years 80 to 85% of the total of the deaths. The main causes of this mortality, neonatal mortality, is respiratory distress syndrome, sepsis, and asphyxia. The next one. So we want to talk about the general situation about maternal and child mortality. We see in the last years there's a little variation in the mortality rates of both ones. And when we analyze all the cases, more than the 80 to 85% of that as avoidable causes. One of the main factors of that is the poor quality of care, the not adherence to protocols, and the weakness in primary care. Also, we can see that 25% of these deaths were of people with Haitian nationality, and in some border regions can reach 40 to 45%. Also, that type of population has a lot of determinants and vulnerabilities that impact the maternal and child health. The next one. So, because of that, the object of the project was to reduce maternal and neonatal mortality in the Cibao Occidental and Northeast regions, which has one of the highest rates in Dominican Republic and Haiti. And the focus was on improving prevention, early detection, and adequate management of these main causes of death and health facilities and at the community level. You can see the region that we chose is in the top, is the light blue of this side, and the yellow one for that side, the Dajabon and Northeast. Next. The project was made in the period of between May 2018 and April 2020. That was the area of intervention that we take, that is neighbor in each country. And the specific objects were improve the portfolio of maternal and child services in the region of both countries, and promote community and public health interventions in relation to maternal and child health. Next. So what was the main results of this project? First, the number of maternal deaths reduced by 23%, and maternal mortality rate reduced by 18% in these regions. The number of neonatal deaths reduced by 26%, and neonatal mortality rate reduced by 39%. We trained 595 health workers on triage, emergency and obstetric urgency, We also the management of hemorrhage and red coat, helping the mother to survive to preeclampsia and eclampsia, among other topics. We also trained 199 health workers, mainly from the community of these regions, to prioritize topic identified in the intervention strategy that was designed from a baseline of recognition and of search professional care during pregnancy and childbirth. Next. Other main result that we have in these 2 years, that was the health service capacity was improved in the activation and handling of the obstetric red coat in these regions, and the blood supply and management were strengthened, including test equipment and supplies for screening and transfusion. We also made an implementation improvement on the perinatal information system, SIP+, that is very weak in the whole country. We can achieve it in these 6 hospitals in this region, and we improve the compliance with obstetric and neonatal protocol in 16 hospitals. We also made a big effort to introduce the methodology to evaluate integrated health service delivery network, that the result of that development level of 34.6% in the region, and that improved the result that we have in the 3 levels of attention. The next one. So what we learned from this project in terms of good practice and lesson learned. The next one. I think the more important one was that for the first time, both countries sat down to plan the same actions to impact maternal and child health on both sides, and not only concerned about their own. We take a few steps, we take the time to discuss and to analyze, but looking for the same actions in both sides. We carefully analyzed the variables and determinants of each country, which led to these results in the select regions. The next one. Also, the working groups were made up of both high-level officials and local actors. That was the first time that we have that mix and with the both country, and that made us an improvement on the results. And there was a constant communication between both countries with each of the 3 levels of care: primary, second level, and third level of both countries. And there was an interaction between the care centers and the community, not only for talking about it, you know, in best of the formulation, implementation, and evaluation. That means that the whole community, the 3 levels of care, the high official levels and the local actors were acting together all the time. So the next one. So this good practice can be replicated if there is a synergy on planning and acting with the performance of the different actors, all seeking from the same results. Now we're in the country, we're trying to replicate this at a national level, and we start last year, and we have a reduce of maternal and neonatal in terms of the country. But now with the COVID, we have a little difference between that range. Next one. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Carlos de Jesus. Another very rich experience between the Dominican Republic and Haiti in very sensitive health issues as maternal and child is. While we get ready with the questions and our panelists get ready for the answers, I would like to call Ms. Shamsa Banihani from the Office of South-South Cooperation of the United Nations to share with us some highlights.
Thank you so much, Guillermo, and thank you so much for our distinguished speakers for really sharing their their good practices that are improving access and outcome of health services through the use of innovative techniques and replication efforts. So congratulations on the great achievements that you have actually put forward that are benefiting so many people on the ground. These good practices are available and accessible through South-South Galaxy. I've been sharing actually the links to all the good practices that you can access, which is a global digital knowledge sharing and partnership program platform to further facilitate the knowledge exchanges and cooperation between partners of the South. The month of September marks the 1-year anniversary of the launch of the Galaxy. Since its launch, it has emerged as a one-stop shop to communicate and share solutions. It is increasingly serving as a space for all partners to communicate and share solutions to address common challenges, such as a matchmaker by connecting solution providers and seekers. As of today, the Galaxy has a digital repertoire of over 500 good practices and innovative solutions covering all of the 17 SDGs. It also has over 270 organizations that have institutionally registered, allowing them to connect with each other directly, making it easier to build partnerships digitally. By providing a direct link to connect solution providers and recipients to the platform, it is contributing to the democratization of access to information and making the South-South solution exchange and partnerships more horizontal. So we're all on the same level. The platform has started enabling tangible interactions between Southern partners and providing customized support to their needs. So we're seeing a lot of interaction where Southern partners are collaborating with each other and sharing information and sharing exchanges to facilitate South-South projects. I encourage you all to join and utilize this platform. We'll be showcasing a 2.5 short video of our partners who are currently utilizing and benefiting the Galaxy. So Raphael, if you can actually feature the video, that'd be great. Thank you so much.
South-South Galaxy will help Fragile Stage to publish our respective development strategies, solutions, and needs, exchange information, knowledge, and in this regard, it helps to foster better partnerships and engaging in capacity building.
We utilize the South-South Galaxy not only to share our best practices and successful programs, but to expose as well our experts to the best practices and successful stories coming from other members of the South family.
As the premier hub of global South-South best practices, South-South Galaxy platform has empowered SSN for PSI to exchange these experiences, expertise, and knowledge to move towards the new normal.
We believe that we have inspiring lessons to share on peace and development from the South-South Galaxy, and we are working to further enrich it.
The ISDB will continue to play its pioneering role in leveraging all potentials of South-South cooperation to help its member countries and humanity at large to achieve their development objectives.
We are benefiting from the Galaxy. We were a partner of the month for June 2020, and it helped us a lot. So we look forward to working closely with Galaxy in the period ahead.
And it is my hope that many solutions and good practices that are presented on the platform will help other countries of the Global South to achieve sustainable development.
And we have been working as Partner of the Month in September 2020.
We look forward in the coming months and years to keep working to build bridges between experts across the Global South and with their peers in the rest of the world.
South-South Galaxy is leveraging the best offer of our times to build a truly inclusive global partnership. South-South Galaxy, connect for a better world.
Thank you very much, Bani Hani and Ms. Bani Hani, for that very inspiring video. We get now into the section of Q&As, and while we continue receiving the questions and to spark the dialogue also among the panelists, I would like to highlight a couple of issues, no? And I think if we subtract from the contents of each of the lessons learned, no, and rather than looking into the contents, we look into the process of each of them, we can clearly identify the basics of cooperation, no, in order to have successful experiences. First, we can note the respect to each of the countries and also the partners, no? The relationship or the partnership has this component, but also the trust that each of the partners put in the other partners in order to achieve the objectives. Now, in terms of the identification of the common objectives, there is this process of identifying the needs of one country and the strengths of the other. So the two aspects can get together and identify the common objectives. And also very, very important, once the project has finished, to share the results, to share the gains. The success is not only the success of one of the parties or one of the countries, but of all the participants. No? And we have heard about several presentations about the process of implementing, but also a component of evaluation. In order to have good lessons learned, we need to reinforce the need of evaluating all the interventions so we can showcase the good results of each of them, no? And not only in terms of health indicators in this case, but very important as the lessons learned from Ms. Wairat-Panish highlighted, no, the social impact, no, because it's not only about improving health, but also improving well-being. So, so far, I have a question for Dr. Juan Carlos de Jesus. The question is, if you think that this South-South cooperation project has contributing to strengthening the sense of solidarity and inter-country relationship between Dominican Republic and Haiti.
Yes, I think I saw it that when I'm talking about the good practices and learning, that the most surprise for me was the possibility to set down both countries for the first time, not talking about what problem we have, each one, instead of seeking for results for the maternal and neonatal. And that's opened the door to more synergy and better communication in both countries. And now we have better communication instead of that.
Yeah, thank you. And there are several, I think, experiences in which health has served to improve the relationships among countries. No? PAHO had this experience in the 1990s in Central America, using health as a bridge for peace. So those are also components that we need to look at when putting together those South-South cooperation projects. There's another comment about this experience between Dominican Republic and Haiti, highlighting that these two countries, they speak different language. You know, in the Dominican Republic, you speak Spanish. In Haiti, they speak French. So the issue of language is an additional component or challenge in putting and implementing together this type of projects. Do you have any comment about that?
Yeah, it is true, and they speak French dialect. So it's very difficult for us, but we made efforts in years of teaching our nurses and doctors the basic of the language. So we have documents, promotions, informations. So we are getting better in that sense, but it's still difficult to have that synergy with two different languages.
Thank you, Dr. Carlos de Jesus. Well, now it's about time to go then to our next item of the agenda. I would like to call Dr. Louis Pearson, the Principal Advisor Health Program Division of UNICEF, to give us some closing remarks.
Thank you. This is Lu Wei. I'm the Acting Director for the health program in UNICEF New York. I'm from the Global South, grew up in China, so South-to-South exchange is part of me, and I'm glad to join the webinar and to offer some thoughts. As I have traveled the world to different countries in Asia, in Africa, and in Latin America, in different countries, perhaps over 50 in my career, I have seen that the concept of Global South is changing. It's not anymore the notion of poor or disadvantage or some other traditional meaning. I think the Global South has a lot to contribute now. Every country on the face of COVID-19 is a Global South because vulnerability is in everywhere, in every society. So I learned 3 things from you today, listening to your rich discussion. First is the urgency. The Global South-to-South collaboration is not a luxury anymore. We need to do it urgently to learn from each other, to get our health system ready, to open schools, to keep our society safe. We must learn from each other urgently and the shared experience. And the second is that South-to-South is smart. It's evidence-based and result-driven. I've heard the story from South Africa, from Thailand and DR. I remember a year ago when I was in Haiti, I was standing at the Haiti-DR border and just thinking there's so much these two countries could do together, not for emergency only, but just as everyday good planning, cross-border collaboration, not only for humans, but also for animals, for trade, for many other things. And my third reflection is that South-to-South collaboration have so much common goods to contribute to humanity that we must take the rich experience from the South to make the world a better place. And the partnership is core to UNICEF, to the United Nations. So we're committed to support the South-to-South collaboration. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Pearson, for your nice words and closing remarks. Indeed, this has been a very, very rich exchange of experiences, lessons learned, concepts, ideas, and goodwilling. And this couldn't be possible without the hard work of colleagues that were behind the camera. I want to recognize, of course, Shams Banihani from the UN Office for South-South Cooperation, but also Marta Santos from UNICEF, Bobby Olarte from UFPA, of course, Rafaela Velar, also from the Office of South-South Cooperation, and my colleague, Carlos Emanuel, for putting together this seminar. I also learned many things. I'm full of energy after this exchange of ideas. PAHO's commitment to South-South cooperation and to continue with this partnership gets stronger every day and every time that we have this type of events. And I think the UN agencies have a very important role to play in South-South cooperation, not necessarily taking the leadership, but backing up the countries that want to put their resources so we can help in identifying the needs and the strengths of the countries. We can help in bringing them together. We can surely provide technical cooperation, and maybe we can put some seed funds to start projects. But we need to start, I think, moving forward and find a way to make this bigger, to scale it up, as Louis was saying, and also to find a way to make it sustainable, to find a way to identify the financial resources and the role of country, national agencies for cooperation and international development, as in the case of TICA, it's very, very important. We need to partner also with ministers of foreign affairs in order to make the projects relevant for the foreign affairs policies of each of the countries. So many things, I have learned many things from those presentations, and I can assure you that Carlos Emanuel and I will pass the message to our director, Dr. Carissa Etienne, for her to continue supporting not only politically, strategically, but also financially South-South cooperation. So I don't know if my colleague and friend Adele have any words before sending the goodbye message to all the participants. Adele.
Actually, Guillermo, Adele had to actually leave to go to attend another meeting, but he sends his best regards.
Excellent. Well, with no further comments, I want to thank you, all the panelists, and I don't know if there's a way to open the microphones of everybody. We now have 54 participants to join me for a round of applause to all the panelists. Well, thank you very much. Good luck. I wish you a good day.
Thank you so much to all our distinguished panelists.
Great seeing you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Good night.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.